Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for this program preview for the Master of Science in Innovation and Venture Development. The MSIVD is a brand new master's program starting this fall 2020 at Arizona State University. It's a transdisciplinary partnership between ASU's Ira A. Fulton School of Engineering, the W.P. Carey School of Business, and the Design School in the Herberger Institute for Design and the Arts. I wanted to get started today by giving you a bit of a breakdown of what we're going to be discussing today. I'll start off by introducing myself and Chad Kennedy, our guest speaker, who is one of the MSIVD program faculty. He's going to be speaking to the topic of navigating uncertainty, and he will be discussing with you the program curriculum. I will also be providing you with some information about the program's admission requirements and what the application process will look like when you apply. And I'll have some information for you as well about the program's tuition and any financial aid and scholarship opportunities that might be available to you. We'll then leave some time at the end for a Q&A if you have any questions about anything that myself or Chad discussed over the course of the webinar. So just to introduce myself first, my name is Jackie Collins. I am the graduate coordinator for the MSIVD program. So I'm here to help you through the application process. If you have any questions along the way, please feel to reach out. I'll have my contact information at the end of the program. I will also be serving as your academic advisor when you are admitted to the MSIVD program. So turning over to Chad Kennedy. Dr. Chad Kennedy is a technology entrepreneur, author, and faculty in the Technology Entrepreneurship and Management program through the Fulton Schools of Engineering at Arizona State University. A mechanical and biomedical engineer by training, over the last 25 years, Dr. Kennedy has gone from working at NASA to Silicon Valley. He co-founded, worked in, and mentored startups ranging from biotechnology, robotic automation, consumer products, and medical devices. And his current interests are developing creativity and innovation tools and strategies that incorporate neuroscience, data science, and engineering principles. So Chad, I will go ahead now and turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Jackie. I really appreciate that. That was a wonderful introduction. So ironically, today we're talking about navigating uncertainty, but actually it's very timely and it's a very pertinent topic considering what's happening with COVID-19 and some of the uncertainties in the economy and things like that. Many people are wondering, okay, well, do I just rely on my employer or do I go out on my own and try to make my own business something that I have more control over? So if we go to the next slide, what I'm going to talk to, thank you. What I'm going to talk to you about is three major components and really methods and skill areas that really can help you along that path. I like to call it the adventure path. Some others call it the venture path. So that's what we're showing here. So with the next slide, we'll start by talking about charting your destiny. Now, charting your destiny is really where you're exploring a space. So if you have a startup team or a development team, you want to find something where you can make an impact. And a lot of people ask, okay, well, what does that mean? What we're really talking about is how do you make meaning? Making meaning means you have a serious problem, opportunity, or issue that needs a solution and needs it now. And then you also couple that with people who really need it and who want it. You make meaning by making that happen. It becomes what they call a value proposition. And it makes something greater than either of you because it provides you some motivation and meaning for what you're doing with your life and your skill sets and things like that. The other aspect in charting your destiny is finding out what the gotta haves, those things that are really pertinent and need to have solutions versus the nice to haves. So right now, for example, chocolates may not be a gotta have, maybe it's nice to have. But maybe for some of you, it is a gotta have, I can understand that. So, but in this current crisis, let's just consider some ideas, for example, with COVID-19. Different solution ideas could be alternatives to masks. There's already groups doing 3D printing masks with alternative HEPA materials to try to meet up some of the demand. Portable home respirators, because you don't have all the respirators in the hospitals ready and available. Biodegradable gloves. We have issues now where we have all this glove waste that's going on because you just use it once and throw it away. sterilizable, reusable gowns. So again, there's lots of ideas, and the ideas always change for the pertinent problems of the time. And these are all gotta haves right now. There's a dramatic need for it. So if we go to the next slide, when we talk about navigating uncertainty, now we move to the next phase. This is where we're gonna explore and build a product and or service, and that is to some type of customer target. What's interesting, however, though, is as you start interviewing and talking to people and finding out and having some discovery process, that really maybe what you thought was your customer really isn't your customer. And so we have to kind of look at how do we navigate through that component. So just a story to give to you guys here. We had a company I was consulting with where we were targeting periodontists. The reason was they were doing a certain surgical procedure, and we were replacing that procedure with a technology that didn't require surgery. Great, we thought we had it all in the bag. We knew what we were talking about. The more we got involved in the space, how much we didn't know was the fact that it's really the general dentist and the dental hygienist who really could benefit from the technology the most, because then they wouldn't even have to refer to a periodontist to actually go to any surgery anyway, and they could do an outpatient procedure with this technology. So completely revamped our marketing models and where we're going to go. And that's something that you just had to adapt to. We also can assess risks and likelihoods of different scenarios, and something that may change our plans. So you can plan for, okay, if this happens, we have plan XYZ to execute. A lot of larger organizations do this very well. Some smaller organizations can do that to a certain degree, so that when something happens, you can actually plan for it and have something that you can do. You don't always have all of that fixed out at the beginning, and rarely does anybody. So what I like to call it, and why I use this symbol, is have a North Star. And I borrowed this from Guy Kawasaki, and it's based upon having a 3-word mantra. And this mantra answers a very specific question. It answers the question, why do we exist? Why that's important is because when you're really knee deep in the woods and you're going through the process of developing, product design and things like that, you need to have something that gives you motivation and direction, even when you're not quite sure where you're going yet. It happens all the time. So it's really a great way for you, your team, your stakeholders, everybody to really remember what they're all about. And it gives, again, it adds to that making meaning back in the process. So next. So then the final phase really is the execution phase. And this is what I like to call, this is where you're sailing the sea. You got rough waters. What's it going to take to be able to survive through that? You got to be nimble, number one. And number two, you have to have adaptability. You have to be able to, again, navigate some of one of these things that are going on. Not if things change, but when things change. And believe me, they will change. They always change. So for example, we had a product line going out where we had a supplier interruption. In Puerto Rico, back when Hurricane Maria hit, it was a Category 5 hurricane, knocked out all the power complex, and all of our suppliers on Puerto Rico could not supply anything. So we had to quickly, within a week, find another supplier, something that was close enough, because we couldn't find something exactly the same for the components we needed, and then do a quick redesign of our systems and then get it out to our builds. So again, that's something that you don't think about going into this, but it's something that actually happens out there in the real world. So why is all this important? How does this relate to this program? If we could go to the next slide, I'll show you how these actually map really well onto the curriculum. So for example, the charting your destiny is something that we really talk about in Studio One. It's where we talk about these discoveries and the insights and what type of customers we're going to have. What are the gotta haves versus the nice to haves? And we kind of continue that in Studio Two, where we start transitioning to some of the navigating components, where we have to reframe a problem. Maybe we thought, and we had certain assumptions of what we thought was going on, but in reality, it's a little bit different. So we have to reframe what we're going to do. This is also where we explore and fail and solve different problems. So we could be working on prototypes, testing them out, trying them with a customer base, early adopter base, seeing what happens, realizing what works, realizing what doesn't work, going back to the drawing board and fixing some things. Ultimately, by the time you get out of the Studio 3 process, hopefully you've got a product and or service that's been refined several times in several different cycles, so that you now have it honed in onto a very distinct and target customer base who really wants that. And then sailing the sea is really all of what we talk about in Studio 4 and Studio 5. So this is where you develop the business. You have to build your ship. How are you going to get out there on the sea? This is what we do in Studio 4. Scaling, once you've got things going and you're actually want to scale up from making 10 widgets to hundreds or thousands of widgets, how do you do that? We cover those types of topics as well when we get there. We also have supporting courses that are more of classical courses on fundamentals of entrepreneurial leadership and also scaling entrepreneurial leadership, where we talk about other types of topics that we can't fit into the studios. But here's the thing, all that sounds great, but what's really fantastic about this, what I'm really excited about this, you're not going to see anywhere else in the world, is this is completely a studio-based program. What does that mean? That means instead of you going to a typical master's program where you go to Professor A and Professor B's class and Professor C's class, and then everything's really on you, in this case, you and your team are surrounded in one spot. The studio is your workplace. This is the place where you guys get to make your magic happen, make your meaning happen. People come in and out of that workplace. Your professors, your mentors, any outside counsel, any other support that you need, we can bring those resources in to the studio for you. So it's student-centric, very different model than you're going to find in most other places. The beauty about that is, just as you could go out and set sail on your own on the ocean, but good luck. What's better is to go and learn from some former captains, learn from other crews that have been out there and done that and seen a thing or two and can share those. They can share what to do. More importantly, they can share what you probably shouldn't do. That can save you more time. It can save your venture and it can save your livelihood. So even if you want to join a larger crew, AKA another company or nonprofit, you can do that. These skill sets are completely transferable because in this day and age, innovation is the game, whether you're a large company or a small company. So in the business development departments, and they're making new markets, these skills, the tools, the hands-on experience that you're going to get in this program is really second to none. So, and at the #1 School for Innovation, I'm excited to be here and excited to be part of this program. And I think you would be too. It'd be great to have you join us. All right, that kind of sums up what I have to say for today. Jackie, do you want me to hand it back to you? We can talk about the rest.
Yes, thanks so much, Chad. So I do want to take just a few minutes now to talk about the application requirements for the MSIVD program. So applicants are eligible to apply if they have earned a bachelor's degree or master's degree in any field from a regionally accredited institution. So you do not necessarily have to have a degree in design or in engineering or business to apply. In terms of application requirements, you will need to submit your transcripts. We recommend submitting unofficial transcripts, which you can do through the online graduate application, or you can submit official transcripts as well directly to ASU Graduate Admission Services, but it will save you a bit of time if you want to go ahead and upload your unofficial transcripts at the time that you apply. International students will also need to meet ASU's English proficiency requirement. One thing to keep in mind right now is that we are currently accepting the Duolingo English test for international students who may be affected by testing center closures due to COVID-19. So that is something to keep in mind if you would need to meet the English proficiency requirement when you apply. You'll also want to include a copy of your up-to-date resume, as well as a letter of intent. The letter of intent will weigh heavily in the evaluation of candidates, so I do recommend giving a good deal of thought to what you want to include. It should be no more than 3 pages double-spaced, but you'll want to talk about why you are interested in the MSIVD program, discuss any skills or experience that you have that you think would make you a valuable candidate, and discuss what you hope to accomplish through the MSIVD program. So we do have the priority application deadline coming up on April 15th. One thing to note right now, we are offering a waiver of the application fee for any applications that are submitted by that priority deadline. So if you are interested in applying and you would like to have the application fee waived, I would ask that you reach out to me before you submit the application, and I would be happy to work with you to get that fee waiver applied so that you don't have to pay the application fee if you are submitting your application by that priority deadline. However, we will continue to accept applications on a rolling basis as well up until fall if you aren't able to apply by that April 15th deadline. Below is a link to our website where you can get more information about the program as well as the application. And then once your application is submitted, it would be reviewed by your faculty. If you do move on to the next step of the application process, you would be sent some additional questions to answer, and you would be asked to schedule a brief 30-minute online interview with our program faculty. I also want to take a look at the tuition and fee structure. So on this screen, you will see a breakdown of the estimated cost for one semester in the program. Students in the MSIVD program will pay ASU's base tuition and fees, as well as a program fee of $4,000 per semester. So you can see here, this is looking at Arizona resident tuition. The cost for a full-time enrollment as a graduate student. You have then the $4,000 program fee and the other student fees, which go towards things like the technology infrastructure, paying for labs and other resources that you have as an ASU student, like the fitness center and events around campus. And then in terms of funding, we are offering competitive scholarships to students admitted to the first cohort in the MSIVD program. So that's something to keep in mind. The MSIVD program also has a STEM designation, which activates expanded veteran benefits. It also opens up scholarship programs that are structured to support students specifically in STEM-related fields. So if you are looking for other funding opportunities as well, I would definitely encourage you to look into STEM-specific scholarships also. I've also included at the bottom of this slide a link to the tuition estimator if you wanted to use that to get a sense of what ASU's cost per credit hour is. If you are a non-resident or international student, it does vary versus the Arizona resident tuition that is posted on this page. So we do want to now take some time to answer questions that any of our attendees have. If you would like to put any questions that you have in the chat, we'll go ahead and take a look at those. If you have questions either about anything that I just covered as far as the application process, or if you have any questions for Chad about the topics that he discussed and the program curriculum, we'd be happy to answer those for you. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the chat and see what kind of questions we have here. So I see one question right off the bat: what kinds of jobs will graduates get in terms of what titles? Really, we expect that students in this program will end up working in fields that they are passionate about, whether that be that they end up launching new products or new services, or if they launch new divisions within existing organizations. They might end up leading innovation labs or holding key roles in existing organizations as well. I see, do we need to have a degree in engineering, business, or design? Like I said, you do not need to have a degree specifically in any of those fields. We are excited by the idea of having students from a broad range of educational backgrounds in the MSIVD program. And then another question I see, do I need to already have a venture or idea? You do not. We have been working with business leaders to get pain points from them that they think are issues that need to be addressed in a variety of industries. that we will pose then to students so they can work on finding answers to those questions through the program. You can certainly come to the program with an idea, but it is not by any means a requirement. Let me just take a look and see what other questions we have. So I see someone has asked if it is full-time only. This is going to be a full-time program. It is a 1-year, 30 credit hour program. So you would be taking 12 credits each in the fall and spring semesters, and then 6 credit hours in the summer. Currently it is a full-time only program. And then I see someone asking how many people are going to be admitted into the program. That is kind of to be determined to a certain extent. You know, it will depend on the number of eligible applicants that we receive. Right now, just generally speaking, in terms of numbers of students that might be expected in the initial cohort, I think that we're expecting anywhere between 25 and 50 students total. And then I don't know if Chad, maybe you can speak more specifically to how many people will be in each studio class.
My understanding is it's going to be a full cohort in the class in the studio, where you will be working with a team, and the team sizes is really going to depend upon the project sophistication and how many people gravitate toward different projects. There'll be some projects that some people may come in with ideas or maybe ventures that they're interested in working on. And if we get enough people involved around that, they can be working on that. However, like you said, not everybody will have a project ready to roll on there, but we do want to have people come in with ideas that they want to work on this and get that hands-on experience. Because really it's all about getting that experience and understanding the process of building a venture. Again, it's transferable whether you're building your own company or if you're going to go into a larger company and build a new business division. Very similar skill sets.
I see someone asking, how is the program different from the new HIDA program, offering the same model, or is it the same program? I believe this is the same program that you're referring to, unless you have the name of the specific program. But this program is a partnership between 3 schools at ASU. So it is part of the Herberger Institute for Design and the Arts. It is also through the Ira A Fulton Schools of Engineering and the W.P. Carey School of Business. So you would be a student of all 3 schools while you're in this program. And you would be receiving instruction from faculty from all 3 schools as well.
Yeah, correct. And Jackie, if I can add to that, that's really one of the magic sauce here in this program is you're not just getting professors from one degree or one school. You're getting different experiences coming in from all these 3 different directions. And if we need to bring in somebody else who can talk about, say, biosciences or something else, we can probably bring that in a timely fashion for those groups who want to go in those directions.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
another question I see here, if I don't make it to the first group, when will the next group start? If you're talking in terms of the first cohort starting in fall 2020, we are expecting that each new program will start in the fall. Since it is a 1-year program, you would be starting in fall 2020, finishing in summer 2021. So then the next cohort would be starting in fall 2021. I see a question, during the summer, do we still have to pay the $4,000 program fee? Yes, the $4,000 program fee is a fee that you would be paying each semester that you are in the program. So that would apply to the fall, spring, and summer. The big difference in terms of cost in the summer is going to be that you would only be taking 6 credit hours, and summer does tend to be less expensive per credit hour. So just generally speaking, the overall cost that we're looking at for the program based on ASU's current tuition rates is just under $29,000 for the full year.
So, and Jacqueline, I'll field Pedro's final question where he's got a design school program. So let me repeat the question for those who can't see. It says, Phil, familiar with the design school program at Stanford, basic, same approach to design thinking. This is more than design thinking. I have to emphasize that it's dramatically more, because design thinking is part of the design process, yes. But this is also aspects of engineering when you have to build something that functions and works, or is like a high-tech item. It also has total aspects of business development, where you're going to actually build an entity, build a business as you go. So this is full venture development in addition to the innovation piece that fits right into the model. So it's above and beyond just design thinking. I want to make sure that that's clear to our audience.
Awesome, thank you, Chad. I see another question here just below that. What can an applicant do to distinguish themselves and be considered for a scholarship? So like I mentioned in the application materials slide, I would really suggest putting a good deal of work into your statement of intent to explain why you think that you are a particularly strong candidate for the program, whether that be through ideas that you have that you would like to put into practice in the program, or if there are particular experiences that you have that you think would make you a particularly strong candidate. Really, that statement of intent is going to be your opportunity to distinguish yourself from other applicants in the program. I'm just taking a look to see if I can see any other questions that we might have missed along the way. We do have just a few more minutes here, so if there are any other questions that we don't end up having time for, I'll make sure to make note of them, and then I will send those out to everybody that was in attendance as well. Someone does ask how to best balance this program with a full-time job. So like I said, it is a full-time program. You are going to be expected to complete it in 1 year. So if you are planning to work full-time, it is possible, but you likely will need some level of flexibility from your employer in terms of schedule. Right now, we are looking at the schedule of classes to be taking place on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the fall. You would have your lecture course followed immediately by your studio course where you would be working with your team. And the time frame for that is going to be roughly around 12 to 4 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So you would need to have that time available in your schedule to participate in those courses. Students will also complete 6 credit hours of elective courses over the course of the program. So you do have a bit more flexibility there in terms of what your schedule would look like with the elective courses, but you do need to be available for those key courses, the studio and the lecture. Chad, do you see any other questions that we've missed?
I haven't seen any on the Q&A, and I'm not quite sure on the chat, but I think we've hit most all of them that I've seen.
Okay. Well, we do have just about a minute here, so I do want to wrap up. Like I said, if for any reason we did miss any questions, I will be happy to go back to those, and I'll send out my answers to everybody following this session. I'm just going to bring back my contact information here so that you have it if you want to reach out to me with any other questions that you might have along the way. Like I said, we are currently offering a waiver of the application fee for anybody who applies to the program by that priority deadline. So if you do want to apply by April 15th, please contact me before submitting your application, and I'll make sure to walk through that process with you to get your application fee waived. And I will also be happy to work with you on any other questions that you have about the application requirements or the admission process as well. Chad, do you have any other comments that you want to say before we finish up here?
Just this is probably a very exciting, very dynamic experiment that's going to be amazing. There's an amazing host of faculty. I wish you could meet them all right now, but hopefully over the webinars, you're going to get to meet a few of them. But it's a really dynamic group. I know everybody's fully on board and excited, and we'd love to have you, particularly if you really want to make something happen and make an impact on the world. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chad. So I will send out this presentation to all of our attendees as well, so that you have access to all of the links as well, including this application link down at the bottom here if you want to submit your application. I just want to really quickly, again, thank you all so much for participating in this webinar with us today, and we look forward to your interest in the program.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
And just one other plug, we have Riva coming up with another future webinar. So I think have we sent announcements out for that already?
I think we did send out one, but we will definitely be sending out more information about that this week. We do have another seminar on Monday with Riva, another one of our MSIVD faculty. So be on the lookout for that information as well.
Okay, and I think it's like March 30th is what they were saying. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, I got
Yep.
5:30. Great.
Well, it is 1:01, so we do have to wrap up now, but thank you again so much for participating. I'll look forward to speaking with you all soon.
All right. Thank you.